Golf Podcast, presented by Golficity, where we bring you the tips, instruction, and support you need to get the most out of your golf game. And now your hosts, Frank and Mike.
Hey, welcome back to the Golf Podcast. Mike is pumped up over there. Is it because of the warm weather?
No, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be back on the mic. I actually am full of energy despite having a baby 6 days ago. Things are going well, getting sleep too. It's actually the complete opposite of what everyone thinks. I mean, I'm actually getting a lot done. I'm being more productive. You know, everyone's telling me go get some rest, but I just don't want to. I just dying to get out there and play. It's been beautiful up here in the Northeast. I think we had like an 80-degree day the other day. We've got 70s and 80s coming this weekend. But here's the great thing, because I want to kind of brag about this a little bit. Like I said, 6 days ago I had a child, Frank. I have a 9:17 tee time on Friday.
Nice.
Yep. So
How'd you swing that?
You know what? Here's the trick. You put in a lot of extra effort in the first 5 or 6 days. You get the extra pillow. You know, you put her legs. You know, you do everything else, and it's like, listen, I would love to get out there and play. 18. It's going to be gorgeous. You know, it's like, sure, go ahead. So worked out in my favor.
There you go. Put the work in Monday through Friday through Thursday for you, and then hit the
exactly. So I'm excited about that. What about you? Have you gotten out there at all?
Not yet. I'm definitely going to hit the course hopefully this weekend. The temps are still in, but man, has it popped in the last couple of days. Like we've only had, 2-3 days since it's hit this really nice temperatures up here in the Northeast, but everything's turned, it feels like it turned green overnight. That course is just calling me to get out there. So I've been, chipping in the backyard and just kind of like working it in where I can, but can't wait to get out there.
We didn't talk about this last time, Frank, and I apologize if we did, but you and I have made the agreement that we're going to get out there and play every last week of the month together.
Yeah.
Work on some
play
things.
At least once a month together.
Absolutely. And we'll do some fun stuff out there. Who knows? Maybe we'll get creative. But that should be fun because like I always say on the show, and I always tell you, I always pick things up from playing partners, especially you, because you're able to kind of, determine what I'm doing wrong. So, hopefully those are like my sessions with Frank, I guess I call it.
Right. Plus we get to have a little fun, pull out the Instagram, do some Instagram stories while we're out there, have a good time. Cause we used to get to play, back when I was living in Jersey, I mean, if anybody's a new listener, they may not know, like it sounds like maybe we're in the same room, but we're a state away from each other, and, back when I was living in Jersey, me and you were playing every Saturday and Sunday. That was also before kids, but
right.
Now, it's actually hard for us to get together and play. So it's great. This is sometimes what you got to do. Just put some stuff on the calendar and then just make it happen.
Just stick to it.
It's so easy. Things come up, like you said, family, kids, life, and just your game kind of gets away from you. So just put it on the calendar, block it off. That's sometimes you just got to do it. But I'm excited to get out there, especially too after watching the Masters all last week. Man, it just gets me in the mood to start the season, kick it off. And that was something else too. A little bonus golf, getting to see, that playoff, Sergio, it was amazing. And listen, and we were talking about it a lot in the Facebook group too. Everybody kind of had a very similar consensus, not a huge fan, never really been a huge fan of Sergio Garcia, not against the guy, just never really been my pick to watch, so to speak. But regardless, no matter what, you got to be happy for him. What was it? 74 majors before he got his win. And that's 18
years.
It's crazy. and imagine getting that monkey off your back, Now He doesn't have to every year where you hear like those stories, best player to not win a major. He can finally scratch his name off that list. Now who's the Heat go to though? That's the question.
Well, now I think it just comes down to like Westwood. But, he's fallen off so much. Has Furyk won a major? I think he has one. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Because he won the FedEx Cup.
I thought he had the U.S. Open at some year, but I could be wrong about that. But there are a handful of guys still without one. But what's cool about the majors, you could tell just from the atmosphere. And, of course, Augusta always draws this, exciting week for Masters. But I always think that there should be a kind of a major for us. You know, I mean, whether it's just a local town tournament or something that you can get really amped up for every single year and like go into that week, like mentally prepare and then compete, you know, even if it's for something small, like I said, like a town tournament. I think I want like one or two of those quote unquote majors every year.
Well, you do something similar at work, right? Don't you have like a cup that you play for each year?
We do the cup, but that's more of like a ride. That's more, you know, everyone's drinking beers and it's fun and it's but you know, at the end you win the cup. There's a little, you know, it's a little intense, but you know, something that gets like, you know, really serious and something that makes you really prepare. I don't prepare for that at all. That's just go to the course and play. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that stuff's always fun. My father always say he's an avid golfer. He puts together with like 6 or 7 guys. Actually, it's even grown. I think some years they have like 12 guys. They all go down to Myrtle Beach for a week. They're going, I think, next week. And they do kind of like two rounds a day for 3 days. And they have something that they do. And on the last day, they have some sort of like awards that they do. That's always cool when you kind of put that stuff together. But maybe one day we'll have to come around to doing some sort of like Golficity Cup or something.
Well, speaking of going away, I mean, you and I are never going to have the opportunity for like a spring break. Like we're seeing all over the news with these guys, Fowler and Kaufman and Thomas and those guys and Spieth. And, you know, what's your take on this? Because they did it last year, success because it was fresh. I mean, are they trying too hard? What do you think?
I don't know. They look like they're having a good time.
Well, yeah.
I'll tell you. But
and yeah,
well, obviously with those things, there's always some underlying, you know, first of all, you can tell that they've totally gotten hooked up by who's that's like kind of sponsor, that tequila sponsor or something.
Yeah. My favorite tequila, Casamigos.
Yeah. Because they got the Casamigos shirts. They got right. So first of all, I'm sure they're getting the hookup. You know, it's funny. The guys with the most money usually end up not having to pay for anything. But, yeah, look, why not? Those are all still young guys. They're unmarried guys. They might as well blow off some steam because the truth is, I mean, I know they're not in college. Everybody's kind of, you know, joking around saying, spring break, you guys are, you know, older than that, but really they're not. I mean, what's Jordan Spieth, 23 years old?
Something like that. 23, 24. Yeah.
And then on top of that, you know, I don't think unless you follow it closely, you don't realize how grueling the PGA Tour schedule really is. I mean, these guys are playing all year round. It's not like there's a big off season. Even those months, November, December, stuff like that. Some of these guys are going over there playing like, you know, WGCs or Asian tour events or stuff that they're getting paid just to show up, but they're still doing it. They're all over the world, flying all over the world. So why not? I say take a week and just blow off steam and have a good time.
Yeah, you know what's funny? They kind of knock on each other, and Spieth looks like the good boy in the group. Like he says his prayers at night, and he doesn't partake in any of the bad activity. And I get it because we all know Jordan as being that guy. And then you got on the complete opposite, and you got Smiley. He was like the rebel of the group.
Yeah.
So before, I think today on Snapchat, they were teasing because we all know if you watch PGA Tour religiously and watch Jordan Spieth, he's always wiping his towel down.
Yep.
He always has to like stop, get off the ball, ask Michael for a towel, and wipes it down. So like they were exaggerating that. Like Smiley would run out mid swing and like wipe the club down again. So stupid stuff. It kind of made me laugh. You know, it's entertaining. I mean, it's what it's all about, and it kind of makes me completely jealous because I would love to just fly down to where they are and just hop on the course and try to play with these guys.
Yeah, but you know what? Look. What I love about it too is it's like, I think it's good for the game. You know, first of all, the platform, right? So you got Snapchat where a lot of like the, you know, the younger guys are and that's the social media platform for them. We talk about growing the game. I know it sounds silly, but like when you make the game like fun like that and you see a couple guys just out there having a good time, it's not stuffy. It's not any of those things. Kids get interested in it. But on top of that, I mean, it's kind of makes you feel a little bit better because they don't look like they're playing that well. No, they could be about 10 tequilas deep. I don't know exactly the reason, but you watch them. Some of these ones, like I think it was Smiley, like couldn't get out of the bunker. And then, you know, Jordan like hooks one into the woods and, you know, it just makes you feel like that could be us. You know, that could be us out there. This looks like when we're out there with, you know, Instagram or Snapchat, just having a good time. So it's just cool. It's relatable. I think it's good on all levels. But that's one thing I never did. I never did any golf things for spring break. Have you ever, you know, like, what's the craziest thing you did for spring break or what?
You know, the only thing I think I've ever done for spring break was gone to Cancun with the guys in college, you know, senior year. Yeah. I wasn't even into golf. I mean, it was 14 years ago and I didn't pick up golf until about 7 years ago. So, I had no interest in it. It was just one of those booze filled college spring breaks where you wore like 11 bracelets and you can get into any nightclub and they basically just do whatever you want to yourself because you're on your own. But, nothing for me, I can't think of anything exciting.
I'll tell you what, these courses probably don't want to track too much of that because they obviously don't want people tearing up the courses, but it could be a smart thing for some of these resorts because that's a huge crowd that they pull for spring break. It's similar to a bachelor party, put together packages for, guys, girls, who love golf, go out there, play 18 holes, have some drinks out on the course. And then after that, hit whatever, hit the resort nightclub or something, but that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I think the only thing, sports related that I ever did one year was a lot of fun actually. In college, me and my college roommate at the time, we were, big baseball fans, and we drove down to Florida and went to spring break down there.
That's cool.
Spring training, I should say. Mm-hmm. And what a cool experience that was. I mean, if you like baseball, because, especially people probably hate me for it, but I'm a Yankee fan. We live up here. My father's from the Bronx originally. So I grew up watching it with him. And, you know what it's like to try to go to one of those games. It's expensive. It's crazy. It's whatever, but it's a totally different feel down in spring training. You can walk up, the players park where you park, it's really laid back. You can usually just talk to, I so many times you show up a little bit early, the players are right there. You can just have a conversation with them. But, I think we paid $5 for a ticket.
Wow.
At some of these, you just go in. I mean, it's not a serious game, but you get to watch the guys, and they're having a good time. And what we did is we just kind of drove around, and I think we hit we hit a different stadium and a different game every day for 7 days and drove back. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's something I've never done.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So anyway, I know we're getting off on a tangent, but there's just so much going on as the season rolls around. I feel like this has been the longest winter ever. I think it's because we didn't have any warm streaks where we got out there to play. It's been crazy, but we'll have a lot more of that stuff that we can talk about and share with everybody as we get back out there on the course. So make sure, if you haven't done so already, definitely join our Facebook group on, our podcast group on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, just search The Golf Podcast. You'll see it pop up. Lots of great stuff we do on there. Be able to share some live video, stuff like that. And on Instagram as well. Just go to @Golficity and follow us there. And in between, when we're not on the course, we just share some of the funny stuff that comes across us. So, definitely check that out. So, Mike, let's do a quick word from our sponsor. And then tonight we're going to talk about a question that we get asked all the time. It's when to get a club fitting and how do you know it's time? And when it is time, where do you go? How do you get it done? So we're going to talk about club fitting. We're going to talk about how that can improve your game. I'm excited for that. Mike, let's do a quick word from our sponsor and then we'll hop into it.
You may know the USGA mostly for their 14 annual championships and competitions. Their championships are widely looked upon as the ultimate test in golf. But Frank, there's a lot about the USGA that you may not know.
Yeah, Mike, how about the fact that their scientists are focusing on important health of the game solutions, including helping golf facilities reduce their reliance on water. Their innovation team has just come up with a resource management app that helps course superintendents know how to better allocate their resources and help ensure a better experience for golfers. Also, the USGA's handicap system helps level the playing field and it makes the game more social. Plus, along with the R&A in Scotland, they're modernizing the game's rules and even asking us for feedback so that you're invited to share with them anytime online.
Hey, there's a lot to love about golf, and the greatness of the game brings out the best in all of us. So discover more at usga.org.
Okay, so we're talking club fitting. First and foremost, Mike, have you ever been through a club fitting? Have you ever got your clubs fitted?
Sure have.
Absolutely. It's like kind of it gets to a point. It's a no-brainer, right?
It is a no-brainer. And as I'm skimming through the notes here, there's one sentence, and I know you're going to hit it. And I'm going to jump ahead of you here because it's so true. It has totally boosted my confidence since I've gotten fitted, 4 years ago.
It's true.
I could see the dramatic change in my game since being fitted is what I'm trying to say.
Look, even if, and we'll get into it more in a second, but even if you end up making no changes to your equipment, it's so true. When you've gone through that fitting and just getting that verification, so to speak, that you're using the right clubs. It just takes that one thing out of your mind, that one like wonder, like, could I be doing something better? Am I doing something wrong with my equipment? And once you can set that aside, it's just one more thing that adds to confidence. I mean, we've had whole episodes on confidence, and we talked about how important it is and how to get it for your golf game. So this is one thing that leads to it. And look, at the end of the day, we all know this. Golf's a hard game, and there's nothing you can do as far as from equipment wise that's going to make the game easy. All right. But what we can do is we can kind of take out some hurdles, some things where you're almost like swimming against the current, working against yourself. And it's always going to remain a hard game. I mean, evidence of that is the fact that scores across the board have not generally improved, even with all the equipment. And when we say that figure, you probably hear that a lot. You say, the average golfer's score hasn't improved even with all the equipment changes and all the equipment advancements. But again, that's speaking of golf as a whole. That doesn't mean that you're not going to see an improvement by just upping your equipment game a little bit or getting a little bit more precise with your decision making when it comes to equipment. So again, keeping that in mind, it's not something that, it's going to be a magic bullet, but at the same token, it can be an important part of your game. Just don't make the game harder. I guess what I'm trying to say, by working against yourself with like ill-fitting equipment or just the wrong thing for your swing. That makes sense?
It makes sense. And I like what you just said. So let me ask you a question. Does Dustin Johnson win his 3 tour wins this year if he started the year with Nike clubs that weren't fitted for him?
Well, that's there you're entering into a whole different echelon.
I know.
Because those guys, every single club is like engineered for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
When we have club fitting, we're working within the boundaries of, what the manufacturers put out, which is more and more things, but there's simple adjustments. These guys down to like the custom grinds and everything, because there's a lot of money on the line. I mean, when you're playing for millions of dollars, there's going to be an investment there. So yes, I think no matter what skill level, there's going to be a difference, but those guys, it's a whole different ball game.
Because there are a lot of variables though, Frank. There is, shaft length, there's, flex, there's forged versus, there's all different kinds of things. So there is a lot of stuff that goes into getting fitted for your, I guess, exact swing.
Right. And because of things like these advancements in modern, golf technology, golf equipment technology, a lot more manufacturers have been able to, I guess they take the clubs and you can manufacture in a way that can be a little bit more modular, so like shafts are interchangeable and then the heads will come in a couple of different, configurations and stuff like that so that you can kind of like modularly put them together and find the right club without having to build the club, from scratch, from the ground up. It's not a complete custom club. So there's ways that you can make these little changes or, look at drivers now,
right.
They're adjustable, on the fly by us. So we can kind of make some adjustments. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily the right thing. I still think the right thing is getting a club fitter to do it. Even if it's an adjustable driver, you can usually get those fitted as well. You go down to wherever you're purchasing your driver from, and they'll usually, after a couple swings, tell you the proper way to set it up for your swing. But it's becoming that point where things are getting so much more available. But here's the thing. There's one thing I want to dispel right off the top of the bat. And that's the fact that club fitting really is helpful for all golfers. Cause this is the question that we get a lot. We get it in email. We get it in the Facebook group. People ask, when do I know that it's the right time to get fitted? And here's where we're going to try to make a case that it's pretty much always the right time. And this is largely because of the fact that the costs of fittings have dramatically decreased over the years. So it's not like you're putting forward that much of an investment, as well as because of the equipment that you can get fitted on comes in a wide range of price points. So it's not anymore where only the $2,000 set of irons, is fittable. Now it's pretty much every manufacturer has multiple price points and they're all something that you can get fitted for. Or a cross manufacturer, you may think going in like, hey, I really like this brand. And then you start swinging and a club fitter puts you into something else and you never realize it. You never even gave them a look, but you realize that the way that particular club fits you better. So club fitting, you hear it a lot more often now, which is probably why it's piquing a lot of people's interest and why they're asking this question. The truth is it has become much more popular in recent years. And again, that comes down to those advances in golf technology. It's possible now to analyze the swing of the average player down to the smallest detail. Going back to the pros. For years, we've had that technology and that we've had just some really skillful people, even predating some of this technology, who could look at a pro's swing and really analyze it. But that was something that was a little bit more rare. Now with the introduction of all types of cameras, swing analysis, all that type of things, we've really moved into a part where even like just your average golfer can take advantage of technology that was only available to pros not too long ago. I mean, that's the big difference here.
Yeah, no. And, I'm thinking about this. I want to throw this out there because I'd love to get some feedback from any of the listeners. Has anyone, or I don't know if you've tried this, Frank, but has anyone ever used clubchampionshipgolf.com? It's a popular club fitting service. And the reason I bring it up, there's one like 2 towns over. And for $350, you get 3.5 hours, which I guess at 14 clubs is 15 minutes per club, full bag fitting, all woods, irons, wedges, and putter. And they'll take you through every club. They'll hook you up to everything. A guy at work was telling me about this the other day. He's going to treat himself to it.
Yeah.
Do we have to take it this far?
No. I'm not saying that because I'm knocking what they do. I think there are certain levels. I think if I was playing at a level of higher competition, closer to scratch, and I wanted to really think about it like this. There's a lot of low hanging fruit that you can start with, right? So if you go from having no fitting to any fitting, you're already going to be miles ahead of where you were. So you're going to take advantage of things like maybe just you might have been using the wrong, flex shaft. You may think, hey, I'm a strong guy. I'm going to hit like a really stiff flex, but then not realize that maybe your swing speed doesn't match that or whatever. So these are basic adjustments that, any decent fitter is going to work with you on. And I'm even talking about a lot of this is free fittings, which we'll get into more in a second. Then as you move through it, like if you got to that point where you've been multiple fittings and now you want to like get to where you're really precise, really honing in on it, then maybe I would go through all that. But in reality, just getting a decent fitting, it shouldn't have to take, in my opinion, 3 hours. I guess that would be kind of like, I guess, the Cadillac of fittings. Right. So I guess it serves a purpose. I'm just saying, I think it's things like that make people wary. People are like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like, I'm a 15 handicap. Why am I going to spend 3.5 hours and $350 getting my swing fit like that? When I got my last fitting for my Ping irons, it was probably 2-3 years ago. I think the whole process start to finish took about 45 minutes. And didn't cost anything because of the fact that I ended up buying the clubs there. And there too, I knew he wasn't pushing me into anything because I knew I wanted the pings from hitting them and demoing them. So I basically just went to a ping fitter. And, even with the range work, the measuring, all that, I was in and out in 45 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. So again, like I said, understanding first the fact that it's going to be helpful to any golfer, no matter where you are in your game, just going for that fitting. It's really something that, as we were talking about, as you brought up, Mike, it can really boost your confidence. Even if nothing comes out of it other than the fact that you get reassured that the clubs you're currently using are working for you and you don't need to purchase any new clubs. That even can boost your confidence because like I said, one less thing to worry about, one less thing to kind of get into. But again, some of these guys, even without hooking up all that equipment, you'd be surprised at how much technology is there for looking at that detail of your swing. Some of these guys can do it right on the range. It's just, it's amazing. So the next question becomes, all right, I'm sold on the idea of getting a fitting. Like, where do I go? How do I find a club fitting? The good thing here again is there's so many more people doing it than there was in the past. In the past, you might have had to travel and might have been somebody who specializes in it, but they could be wherever. Now we're seeing more and more that we're seeing really high quality club fitters just almost it feels like at every like pro shop and at all these other like stores that are popping up, like the PGA Superstore or, Golfsmith and some of these other guys. They're really focusing on this part of the game because again, they have that leverage where they can use the technology that's out there. It's not as expensive. They can roll it out. But also a lot of the major manufacturers are starting to get these guys trained and training a lot more club fitters. And also manufacturers are kind of fitting some of that bill and not charging for it as much because they realize they got to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. If Ping is offering fittings, then TaylorMade needs to, then Titleist needs to, and these guys will all start to do that. So it becomes this point where more and more become available. So finding them, it's as simple as pretty much Googling it, as silly as that sounds, but just look up club fitting and put your city in, see what pops up. That's your starting point. And once you found, 2 or 3 possibilities, it might be stores, it might be pro shops or whatever, some names you might be familiar with, just call them up, start finding out the details of their club fittings because everybody's going to do it a little bit different. Some guys will fit on multiple brands. Some guys are specific to one manufacturer. They're certified usually by one manufacturer. Some guys charge, some guys don't. So a couple easy questions you could start by asking is, first of all, how much do they charge for a fitting session? Find out what's included in that fee. Like you said, Mike, that was kind of an astronomical fee, $350, but they're telling you what's included. That's a significant amount of work, 3.5 hours. Some guys may say, well, I work with you for about a half hour on the simulator and I, analyze your swing. We record it, whatever it may be. We use some impact tape. We measure you, whatever it may be, but they'll tell you what's included. And then compare one versus the other. And then find out too, if the fitting is free, are you obligated to purchase the clubs? Because sometimes you have that, if you're planning on buying your clubs right away, some facilities, they offer a refund of the fee if you end up purchasing, the clubs. Some just do it, for free as it is because they know they want you to bring you in the store. So you want to get that information. The other thing you want to do is get a little bit of information about the professional you're going to be working with. What's his or her experience? Because a lot of these golf shops, like I said, they'll employ these individuals who are well qualified, but it never hurts to double check. Some guys will say they're certified by certain brands. Some guys will just give you like their resume if they've been doing this for a long time. And you could even ask around a little bit, get some reviews and try to get a feel for it. But the other thing you could do too, like I said, with inexpensive, worst case, get down there, get a club fitting. And if something doesn't feel right, or you just get that feeling like this guy's really doesn't know what he's doing, you can always walk away from it, and then just say, I'll try another one. Even if it costs you $40 or something, you got to pay this guy for his time. But then you say, you know what? I don't get a good feeling about that. I'm going to try something else, Yeah.
You just want to make sure the guy giving you the fitting at the local course isn't also the starter and also the cashier,
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Totally find out who's doing the fitting. I couldn't agree more.
Right. And like I said, because these guys are actually getting certifications, these independent certifications, a lot of times that helps, and that's why I always suggest calling a few, not just one, because you can compare them. And then that's when you can see the differences of what people offer. So now that you found the place, you get down there, you got to get the most out of that club fitting session. And if you've never been fitted before, the process can be a little bit intimidating at once because, at the first time you do it, because just like being on that first tee, it's a little bit more intimidating because people are watching. You're going to have the club fitter who's often usually, a pro, watching you. You'll have one, at least one camera usually on you. So there's a little bit of attention. One thing that can happen, you get tempted to kind of impress the computer, get that swing speed number up or something like that. But when you start to do that, and this happens often, it really detracts from the whole point of the process. You got to think about it this way. When you're getting fitted for clubs, you got to make sure your equipment is working properly for you out on the course. So if you use a swing during that fitting session, that's different from your usual swing, the results naturally are going to be skewed. If you're like somebody who has a little bit of a fade, but you want to impress, whoever you're playing in front of and trying to pull out, a nice draw or something like that, it's giving them bad information because they may be able to fit you with a club that gives you more of the flight path you want. That's why get out there, give them that information. And that's something that when I got fitted, he kept asking me, he's like, is that the flight path that you're looking for? Is that what you want? We could try different things. And the only way to really do that is just to kind of swing your normal swing. If you whatever, you shank one, they're just going to tell you just line it up another one. They don't care.
Exactly. Right.
But you want to make sure that you're accurately representing your actual on-course game so they can make real decisions. And look, just don't try to get out there and swing out of your shoes. And remember, no one's going to be judging you. These fitting professionals, they've seen hundreds or thousands of sessions. They've seen every type of golfer. They don't really, for lack of a better word, they don't really care, how well you play. In fact, what they want to do, if anything, is they want to do a good fitting. And when it works against them and against you when you're changing your swing because you're trying to, impress them out there. So forget about that. Just relax, have fun with the process, try to learn as much as you can through it. And just communicate to them. This is what I'm getting out of my current clubs. This is the ball flight I'm getting. This are the problems I'm having. Cause remember, they can't solve every problem. If you got a nasty slice, they're not just going to hand you a different club that all of a sudden fixes your slice. The second somebody invents that, forget about it.
Yeah, seriously.
The reality is though, there might be able to make small adjustments that can kind of work it a little bit better flight path. And they can also make adjustments for a little bit more forgiving clubs. Cause you walk that line too, right? You have the more forgiving and then you have the ones that they're less forgiving, but you can do a little bit more, a little more control, as you start to get better, forged irons, things like that. But they'll also can help guide you based on your handicap, where you're at and what your goal is. If you want something that's a little bit more forgiving, they can work that way. So a lot they can do, but like I said, when you get there, just put the whole ego aside and just swing your swing and let them work with that. And trust me, you'll learn something. You'll feel better coming out of it. And you'll get that confidence knowing you have the right club in your hands.
It's funny thing, Frank, a buddy that I work with, he got fitted and he walked out of there buying the hybrid irons, the whole set of hybrids.
Yeah.
You ever see these things?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what more of the, I guess the older crowd will be using. I've seen a lot of the seniors in using these. And he's in his 40s and he's like, hey, listen, I hit them great. It improved my golf game. I would have never thought in a million years I'd be hitting a whole bag of hybrids. Yeah. But there you go.
Look, we did that whole episode on hybrids. They do have a fit for people. You know what I mean? And it may not seem like your preference, but again, don't judge a book by its cover, not until you've hit it. Especially some of these guys, you have trouble getting a little bit of height on the ball. They're finding they're getting more with the hybrids. And at the end of the day, I don't care. You can look in my bag. I don't care what people think you have. You go out there and you play with confidence and you play well. That speaks for itself.
Exactly.
So it's really great. But look, at the end of the day, one thing I'm trying to get across here, it's don't wait any longer. A professional fitting, it's that kind of thing that, it's easy to put off, one season after the next, but don't make that mistake. Going through a fitting, making equipment adjustments, really can help your game out. It's not, like I said, it's not a magic bullet. It's not going to make everything better, but it's really going to help your game. It's going to make a hard game, maybe perhaps a little bit less hard. And remember, given the fact that, most fitting sessions, they're modest in price. They usually take less than an hour. There's really no need to put it off any longer because it's also not going to be your last fitting, right? So you may say, Frank, I'm not that great at golf, and I say, look, so what? What does it hurt to invest a little bit of time to get out there and get fitted? And then as you get better, maybe 2 seasons from now and you've dropped 5-6 strokes off your handicap, get another fitting. And it doesn't mean, again, I think a lot of times people, the hurdle is that they think that means they're going to have to commit to buying clubs. I understand where that's where it may seem where it might get expensive, but not necessarily. And that's a question you can ask too. You can say, well, will you tell me and give me an honest opinion if my current equipment is the right thing or whatever? Ask that going in. Am I obligated to buy clubs? Because sometimes it's a matter of just finding out that what you have works for you. So take some time, reach out to some of those local golf facilities, find out about their fitting services. And, once that fitting is complete, you can use that information to assemble a set of clubs that's really going to give you the best chance of playing some good golf. And if you do get out there and do it, let us know about it. Post it in the Facebook group. tweet us at Golficity. We want to hear about your fitting experiences. Or if you had one recently, whatever, let us know. If the current clubs you're using, are they fitted? Are they not? What made you make that decision and how did it go? What are some pros and cons? What are some things that you would have done differently? So we can all kind of learn from it. But I'd love to hear from you guys on that. So that's it. Definitely, if there's anything here that you want to circle back to, you can get to that by going to the show notes this week. You can just go to golficity.com/episode 163. As always, we'll link to everything. I know a lot of you guys listen to this show while you're driving and stuff like that. And that way you can get access to that. And also, Mike, I'm just going to jump back to the beginning of the show. As we were talking about this, I looked it up. Furyk does have one major win. Let's see here. He won the 2003 US Open.
That's what I thought. Okay.
You had it.
Yep.
So question becomes now, who's the next guy in line? Best to not. You're going to start seeing some talk about Ricky Fowler. If he keeps hanging around there in the top 10, he's got that players championship win, but, and that had that one big year. What was it? 2 years ago when he was in like the top 5 in every major that year in all 4 majors.
Right.
But he didn't win one. So you're gonna hear some talk about him soon, but
exactly.
Who knows? Either way, the heat's off Sergio.
Yeah, that's for sure. It must feel good too.
Yeah. So, all right. Before we wrap it up, once again, I want to just do a quick thank you to our show sponsor, the USGA. You may know the USGA mostly for its championships, but did you know the USGA is working to modernize golf's rules by making them easier to understand and apply? And they're working with golf facilities to reduce their dependency on critical resources, including a reliance on water, or the fact that the USGA's handicap system is used in more than 40 countries around the world.
Yeah, there's a lot to love about golf, and the greatness of the game brings out the best in all of us. Discover more at usga.org.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you listening, and we'll see you all again next week.